Hello, this is Lee Do-hoon. First, let me briefly introduce myself. I have been working as a journalist for about 30 years, mainly in the political and diplomatic sectors. Personally, I have been interested in climate change, energy, and popular culture. And I have also engaged in various reservoir activities. Later, I got involved in the public service sector and in 2017 Secretary General of the United Nations. After that, I returned to the media, and during this time, I appeared on various current affairs programs at the request of broadcasting stations, and provided a lot of political commentary. At that time, many people appreciated my straightforward way of expressing things. And they even created the "I love you" phrase that you see here, showing me a lot of support. Since February 2023 until recently, I have been overseeing communications as the Chief of Public Relations at the Office of the President of South Korea. I believe we will be able to share more about my specific career as we communicate while operating this platform in the future. I think the first time I became interested in AI was probably during the Go match between the Go master Lee Sedol and many AlphaGo Koreans and citizens of many countries in the international community. On March 13, 2016, when Lee Sedol defeated the artificial intelligence AlphaGo in a match, I felt a sense of exhilaration, as if a human had triumphed over a Terminator. At the same time, I was curious about what kind of future AI would bring. But I also felt a bit of fear. The second turning point was after I entered the presidential office. On June 9, 2023, Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, visited President Yoon Suk-yeol in Yongsan. I happened to be present at that meeting, and I believe I heard relatively detailed and candid thoughts from CEO Altman about the current state of AI development, its future, and the challenges faced in the process. CEO Altman seemed very smart and didn't speak in a flashy way, but he was someone who focused very precisely on the core issues. I think I felt this way. Around that time, it seems that there were quite a few employees in Yongsan who were testing ChatGPT as a trial service, even though they didn't apply it directly to their work, but were comparing it. I started using ChatGPT a long time ago, and it was only recently that I began using other AI services. Oh, I created this AI media platform. But what's the difference between AI and a media platform? In simple terms, an AI is a service media that focuses on AI content. I think you can see it this way. If you look at existing AI-related focus on the technical aspects and technology. In our media platform, we will likely cover areas such as journalism, especially the generation of new articles and responses to issues like fake news, as well as advertising and marketing. And as we continue to do this, discussions about the technologies and industries I mentioned earlier will naturally expand. Based on my experiences, how various issues related to AI and information will be managed, what direction education is heading in, what impact there is on culture and the arts, how we will establish international norms. For this, and how the Korean government has already introduced concepts like digital rights and digital norms. I am also considering how these aspects will evolve and, as I briefly mentioned earlier, what the future of humanity will look like. In relation to AI, including some socio-cultural fields. Now, let me explain a bit more specifically why I have focused on AI media platforms, rather than AI as a whole. First, there is an overwhelming amount of news related to AI. It's pouring in so fast that it's impossible to keep up. So even when I read the news, it's confusing to know which stories to follow. Therefore, I plan to use my experience as a journalist to curate the essential AI-related news and introduce it to you as much as possible on a daily basis. You probably already know that following the flow of news is the most important part of understanding that industry. The second point is similar. There are currently a lot of AI services being launched in the market. It's hard to keep track of how many new services are being released in the market each day. Therefore, it seems necessary to categorize and organize AI services and the startups providing these services while introducing new features. In other words, it's about creating an AI map. We can say this, but because market changes are rapid, we probably need to update and organize the AI map, AI service map, and AI market map almost daily or weekly. The third point, which I believe is the most important, is how AI will respond to fake news and distorted information, and what kind of system we will create for this. This is what we will discuss together. Fake news is currently having a significant negative impact, not only on the government, but also on large corporations, and medium-sized enterprises, celebrities, and ultimately on all citizens. One of the biggest concerns I had while working in the government was how to respond to fake news. If it's completely false, responding is actually easier. When facts are intertwined with non-facts, it's difficult to explain and clarify those parts. I recently watched a Netflix show. I saw Chairman Bill Gates and our singer Lady Gaga having a brief conversation, and both of them expressed a lot of frustration about fake news and distorted information. If people like Bill Gates and Lady Gaga feel that way, how much worse must it be for others? Currently, it is said that the level of fake news and distorted information that can be identified is about 70%. If the remaining 30% is not resolved, fake news will continue to proliferate. Therefore, I believe we need to fill in that remaining 30% of technology to create a cleaner and more honest world. So, I think the issue of fake news will be a major topic of discussion with all of you in the future. And once this platform grows, I have already come up with the name Fake Buster for directly combating fake news. I also have the thought of trying to develop it. I would appreciate it if you all could show a lot of interest and support. It's been a while. I think this is enough for today. Then I will meet you again, starting tomorrow with new updates, news, and topics to think about together. Thank you, everyone.